And welcome back to Confessions of a Serial Hobbyist. This is episode 2, where every episode is a deep dive into curiosity, obsession, and the joy of trying something new. I have a habit of falling headfirst into hobbies, researching, learning, and sometimes overthinking the process just to see where it leads. This podcast is a collection of those stories, lessons, and experiences shared honestly and without judgment. If you're someone who's always chasing the next interest, you'll feel right at home. As I said, episode 2. Again, for those watching the video, you're going to see me doing a lot of stuff here with notes, maybe taking notes, adding notes, going through my script. And again, I've got some notes in place here. You'll see me shuffling papers and all that good stuff. So today we are looking at my kite life, my this hobby, kiting and juggling. That's they kind of go hand in hand, kind of at the same time. I'm working on a title currently for this episode. AI seems to think ChatGPT thinks kites, quads, in a day I want everything. I don't think that's a great title, but here we go. So and we're gonna work on this one. I need to make a big sign that says stop saying so because I currently say that far too frequently. And let's get to the point here. Let's get rolling. I started out years ago. If I refer to my notes here, we got to go back to we're probably looking back around 2006, 2005, 2006 ish. I bought a dual line stunt kite from Walmart. Again, it was probably, I want to say April. I believe April is National Kite Month, and Walmart sells a lot of cheap dual line, a lot of kites. They sell kites. We'd buy one occasionally for when our daughter was younger. Take her out, go fly a kite, and she'd lose interest, being what she was, want to say 3 at the time, 3, yeah, about 5 years old, I think, because we moved out here when she was 2 years old. So, and I got into this a couple years after we moved out here. Um, yeah, let's refer to the notes here. We are looking at, yeah, so, oh, got to work on that. I was at Walmart again, and I saw a dual line kite, the two strings, two lines, of course, and you can fly them around, steer them around. And yeah, cheap kite. I said, okay, I'll buy one, see what it's all about. And I got a kick out of it. It was interesting. It was something different I haven't done before. I mean, flown kites as a kid and even as an adult. And I got the dual line, and I thought it was pretty cool. And I want to say, I was looking around for, I don't even know how I came across it. The first event that I went to, I might be jumping around here a little bit, which I definitely am. I'm bouncing around a little bit here, and I forgot to completely start my timer. Whoa, here we go. Just want to make sure I'm kind of on point. I have some organization to these podcasts. But yeah, 2006, 2007. So that was I thought it was a lot of fun. And I struggled a lot because I had zero guidance. A lot of crashes, a lot of tangles, a lot of frustration and aggravation. I'm pretty sure I broke a few things here and there. Somewhere along the lines, I want to say I had to buy a second one because I completely destroyed the first one. Because they're made fairly cheaply and stuff breaks on these. Yeah, the first success moment. I never really had a great success moment. I learned how to fly it a little bit. But what started all this was somehow I ended up, there was a kite festival down in Bourbonnais. I want to say they still have it. I did a little bit of digging before I started to hit the record button. And apparently, Perry Farms still has the kite festival every year. And it was my first real festival. I had no expectations going in. I just wanted to go down there and see what it was all about and maybe get some pointers on what I was doing wrong, which at that time was quite a bit. And yeah, I really really wish I could remember how I heard of it. Probably just a Google search, I'm sure. And I went down there by myself. I don't know, it was a couple hours, I want to say, but it's a pretty big event. There's a lot of kite people. Here we go. So this is the subculture. It's a very niche hobby. There's a lot of people involved in it. There's not a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very niche. Those in the know, there's a lot of people, a lot going on, a lot of festivals, a lot of events. But there's not a lot of media, I think is the word I'm looking for. Not a lot of press around it. It's very niche for yeah, here we go. For the lack of a better description of it. So yeah, and I go down there, and my first impression of the kite people is very friendly, very outgoing, very helpful, very helpful. More than happy to bring people into the fold with kiting, because it's again, there's a lot of stuff. We'll get to some of the other disciplines, if you want to call it. There's many different types of kites, different events, competitions, demos. There's a lot going on. The biggest thing, I think, when you get to some of these larger events is the first thing you're going to see. I mean, obviously, you're going to see kites, but you're going to see a lot of big kites, a lot of what they call inflatables. They're more or less giant animals, octopuses, manta rays, stingrays, whales, dogs, just lots of stuff that is inflatable, really big kites. But that's what you're gonna see. You're gonna see a lot of really large kites, like freakishly large at some point. But seeing that, that was when I kind of realized, wow, there's a lot going on here. There's more to this than just flying a kite. It's not as simple as it sounds. Um, I'm pretty sure it was at that event. I don't know if it was that year or the following year. I think it was that year. I picked up a Prism dual line, an actual, like, real stunt kite, not the little cheap Walmart version. And I was struggling, trying to fly that. And I don't remember if I had bought that, well, from Chicago Kite. There is a local kite store owned by David Zavell, and to the kite enthusiasts, he's essentially our drug dealer. He he's the one he's got everything, and if he doesn't have it, he'll get it. Um, but I really don't remember if I had purchased that prism from him or not. But I still struggle with that one because that's not. There's a lot of skill involved in a dual line stunt kite, because you can fly dual line, fly it around the sky, which I can do. I can do well. I can do very competently. But to get good at it is a whole different animal. You really there's a lot of crazy tricks that you can do. I figured out a couple over the years, but I didn't spend a lot of time learning how to stunt a dual line kite, because down at the Perry Farms Kite Fest, I ran into a guy. I met a guy, Mike Corey is his name. Big kite enthusiast, but his jam is what they call a quad line kite. And these are made by The company was started back in '89. It was launched by Joe Hidzicki, and I want to say his two brothers were involved in it. But they created something that really wasn't. I don't know if there was quad lines before the Revolution Kite Company, before Revolution Kites became a thing. They called them Revolution Kites. They're what they call a quad line. A it's controlled with uh, two handles that essentially, look like bananas, like the hang loose sign. But there's four lines. There's two on the top and then two on the bottom. So you are able to completely control this kite, make it stop in the middle of the sky. You can do 360s. You can make it go up, down, backwards, side to side. And Mike is one of those guys. He's like, here, give it a shot. And I did. And I sucked at it badly, badly, because there's a bit of a learning curve. It's definitely I don't want to say it's not a beginner's kite. It's just something it takes a little bit to get a feel for it. But with guidance and a little bit of coaching, it's really not that difficult. On windy days, yeah, it's going to be a struggle because it's a lot to grasp, a lot going on at the same time. But on a nice day with a consistent wind, moderate wind, it doesn't take long to actually be able to fly it. But I loved it. I really did. This is something that I thought, man, I got to get one of these, and I did. And again, I don't remember if it was. I don't think it was at that event. Could have been. Could have been. It's. I mean, we're talking almost 20 years ago, and I've still got them. I've still got the kites. I don't have. I don't think I have my first one anymore because that one. It was heavy. It was an older model, and I want to say that one. I may have. That might be the one that I actually cut apart, reused materials, and I had built, sewed up, constructed my own Revolution kite, and that I will also get into here. Stop it. So here we go. The festival circuit. Now this is when things really started to pick up. Mind you, I'm working full time here, so I'm not retired, not doing this as a full time job. This is the hobby. Here we go. This is the next big thing because I found a group of people who were just as obsessed, if not more so, than I am about this hobby. We had started to plan events now. We're at this time we hadn't I want to say we hadn't started the kite club. We do get into we start a club eventually because a lot of these regional areas, regional flyers have clubs. They got a kite club from Wisconsin, uh, Iowa. I mean, other states have kite clubs just to get people of common interest together. And so we do start the Illinois Kite Enthusiasts, and this is only a couple years into Facebook. I want to say I look back Facebook. I believe it was '04, 406, something like that, where Facebook launched. But we had a couple of the guys in that we flew with all the time were very very big into like IT and programming and computer stuff, and they created a forum. I forgot what the platform was, but it was an actual message board forum. I'm pretty sure this is long before Discord was a thing, and we had a place to direct people to. And again, I don't believe it was this early on. We get into it in later years as we start to develop and get more people interested and do more events, demos, and whatnot. Um, and I was now part of something bigger than me. That's where I usually go with some of this stuff. I mean, this was probably one of the bigger ones next to the motorcycle thing as far as folks with common interests, because there's a lot of people, a lot of things going on with kite flying. So we get into again the festival circuit. We start planning. I did most of the local stuff. I didn't do a lot outside of Illinois, just because again I'm working full time, young daughter. I bringing her to the events. I did a couple, but it's difficult at that age chasing around after a toddler trying to handle flying demos, competitions by myself. You know, the wife works. It's just we got to kind of balance all that because that's just part of life. We have another big one. So I had a lot of events. We did Oswego locally had used to have an Earth Day event. We flew there. Decatur had an event. Kites over Grinnell was a big one, and that one I want to say Grinnell, Iowa. That was started years ago by Sis and Dick Vogel, a wonderful couple, and they put this event together because they just had a passion for kites, and that's how a lot of these events happen. Is people are just very passionate about the sport side, about the hobby side, about just having families come out and have a good time. But Grinnell, I want to say so again somewhere along the lines, I bought an indoor kite. It's a Revolution kite. It's built for indoors, and I didn't just buy it for indoors. Being in the Midwest, and a lot of these events, you do have weekends and days where there's just 0 wind. It just the weather falls flat on its face, and the big kites aren't staying up because they need some fairly substantial winds. The stunt kites are a chore to fly in those kind lack of wind because you're doing a lot of running to keep that thing up in the air, which is a whole nother cool thing with the stunt kites because when you do have very light wind days, you would do what we call a 360, where you're able to fly the kite around you, upwind, downwind, crosswind, like, and you're doing again a lot of running, but you're running with that thing, and it's just you're doing a big 360 around you. It's fun. Okay, a lot of people might not think so, but it was kind of cool to do because you're not supposed to fly a kite with the wind to its back, and most single line stuff won't fly like that. But I did pick up the indoor stuff was fun because we did demos like that indoors because and the cool thing is it's this is where I'm going to kind of bounce all over the place as far as the events go because some of these events they have competitions, so you are competing in different classes and different disciplines. Typically, it's the big one that is sanctioned by the American Kite Flyers Association, the AKA. You have dual line, quad line, and you've got these figures that you're required to fly. These precision patterns. They're all spelled out. It's broken down like any other competition where I used to have pages of these things because I did compete a couple times. I was never great, but I had fun doing it. And you do certain patterns. So you have to fly like I should have looked some of these up before I started this. Like you would fly over and then up over again, and maybe you'd have to turn like with the quad, you'd have to turn on its side, and then it would go up and then over. So you're flying specific judged patterns to keep the skills kind of level for everybody. And then judges judge it, and at the end of the competition, you're awarded certificate or award of some type. And I want to say If I remember correctly, you would accumulate points for different events, but it was difficult for certain people like myself because I can't use some of these events were definitely not in Illinois. They would be in other states, and you kind of have to travel like any competition. You got to travel around. Um, and that was a lot of fun. That part, the indoor stuff, I enjoyed because we've done demos. The indoor stuff was great for when we had no wind, and I would be out there. You know, me and maybe one or two other guys be out there with our indoor stuff, trying to just still put on a demo for because people they come out with the kids and they want to watch, they want to see something, not just standing around with everything on the ground because there's no wind. Uh, I don't know. My favorite event, I have a, I think my most enjoyable event might have been I remember right, we had gone up to I don't know if it was Milwaukee. We did there was a big fest up in Veterans Park somewhere along that line. I don't know if that was when I met John Baresi. John Baresi works very closely with Revolution Kites. He is like the guy when it comes to quad line kites. I mean, he is the oh man, he's the man. He formed the kite group, the kite team, iQuad, because you know iQuad, iPod. It was a play on words, but he and friends of his got together and they formed a team where they would go out and do demos. I mean, they would also compete. There was team events, but I for the life of me, I can't remember what event it was at, but they had come to the Midwest, and it was very likely Grinnell or Wisconsin. It was a bigger event. It might have been Grinnell. It may have been Grinnell, Iowa. I again, if somebody was there, let me know. But we they always do these big things, these big flies where you would get a whole bunch of people together who fly these quads, and you would have a team fly, a group fly of you. Oh my goodness, I think the most we had was we probably had about 18 flyers at one point, and as a team, you would fly some really cool patterns and do what they call follow the leader. So now the trick here, when we would do the follow the leader stuff, is things go really wrong really fast because quad line, you have four lines, and on a team, you have four flyers. So we're flying patterns where we are crossing over each other's lines, sometimes multiple times. And the trick is the one who's leading has to fly around the opposite so everybody gets untangled. And the issue comes in when one person, it's been all of us at any given time, has an issue and goes down, you very likely will take the rest of the team down with you. And then you spend the next 20, 30 minutes untangling all those lines. And we call them lines because they are not string, big air quotes there. Most cheap kites come with cotton string. Cotton string is very high friction. It's cotton and it doesn't cross over other lines well at all, and it will bind up, and it will just the friction will just bind up, and it doesn't work. When you're flying stunt kites, you have the trade name, I believe, was Spectra. It's a synthetic line, and this stuff it's very slick. So when you're crossing over, and even in a quad kite or dual line, when you're doing certain patterns and certain, like when you spin, several times in 360 degrees around its center axis. You have to spin back the other way, but you'll start to feel some friction. But if you do that with cotton lines, after a few spins, you lose it and there's no control and it just falls out of the sky. The synthetic lines, the Spectra lines, Nema, I think is another one. I want to say it was a trade name also. Again, it's a synthetic line and it's very it's slick. It will slide. But now the thing is with these synthetic lines, we would always have a problem at festivals where the kids would get a little close. And this is even true for the big stuff. The big guys are flying on lines that are rated for 5, 6, 700 pounds. It's some really, I mean, the stuff is incredibly strong. Some of my single line stuff flies. I have the 200-pound line, which is yeah, for my lifter, it's probably pretty about the limit, I think. But the cotton line, if it gets tangled around a synthetic line, it will cut right through it. It's I mean, it's a big deal. We've had some of the big kite guys lose stuff because of this little, you know, $10 Walmart kite got wrapped around the line, and the first instinct you got is to start yanking on the rope or the string, start pulling it, and it just saws right through that, and just it'll cut right through it. And here we go. We've got some of the big stuff. I mean, you've got a kite worth several $1,000s just flying off now, dragging stuff behind it, and that can become a dangerous situation also because this big stuff will lift a grown man off their feet. That's a whole another part of the kite culture. I get into giant inflatable. So that's talking about the big kites. So we have the big inflatable kites. There was a local guy. His first name's Al. Again, I apologize. I can't remember his last name. I never call him by his last name. It was always Al. Real nice guy. But Al Sparling. Al Sparling is his name. He he had this octopus, and there were several kite manufacturers who did the big stuff. Peter Lynn and made kites. He's a builder from New Zealand, made some really big stuff, real colorful, giant inflatables. And Gomberg Kites was another one. I don't know if Gomberg made the kites or had other folks build them and distributed them. I'm not sure if Gomberg actually created them. Again, give me a hand, give me a holler to correct me if I'm off base there. And that was so that's the first giant inflatable I think that I remember was this octopus he had. This thing was I just don't remember the specs, but it was massive, massive kite. I mean, it took several people to get this thing up and down to collect it, especially on windy days. I mean, this thing was just enormous. And the thing about these inflatables is they typically don't fly by themselves. They hang off of a what they call a lifter kite. And these lifters are big airfoils. They're similar to a like a modern day parachute that most skydivers use now. They have it's actually the cells inflate and it's an airfoil. So it has a just a unimaginable amount of lifting capacity. And a lot of these they'd be staked down. So when I'm flying my little stuff, the little lifters and my smaller kites, single line kites, I would typically put just a dog stake, the screw style stake. You'd screw that into the ground, and that's enough to hold it. Well, these big kites, it would literally just rip that out of the ground, probably bend the whole top handle wide open and just it wouldn't hold it. So they would get like 36, 48-inch, 40-inch tent spikes is what they would beat into the ground with a sledgehammer. And that would hold them in place. Some of them would tie them off to their vehicles if, say, we're in an area where they have underground sprinklers. Obviously, they won't allow the big kite guys to drive stakes in. They'll usually give them an area where they know they don't have sprinklers. But these kites absolutely need something to really hold them in place, and they're amazing to see up close. They're cool like in the distance, but when you get up on them and realize how big these things are, they're scary big. They really are. And walking them down, what we would call when we bring the big stuff down, even the smaller stuff, you have a strap with maybe a D ring, a carabiner of some sort, and you would just walk down and start pulling it out of the sky. Yeah, Al Sperling or Sparling. I apologize again. Real nice guy. Real nice guy. Um, let's see. So we also have yeah, and on the note of the big kites and the foils, there's also a another subculture of power kites is what they refer to them as. And that was something I have a small power kite. It's called the BLK, Big Loud Kite. It's a dual line that's I don't know. It's got like a 7 foot wingspan, I think it is, and it just makes a whole lot of noise. It's pretty impressive because it's loud. The fabric just vibrates and buzzes through the air. And I'll have an inflatable tail. It's just a round piece of ripstop that's sold in a tube, and it's I don't know. I think it's like 25, 40 feet, something like that. It's big, and I fly it around. The tail just kind of snakes around, and it looks cool just watching it fly around. And a lot of stuff we do with these kites, with the demos, we would have we'd do it to music. Pick some. Everyone would have their kind of certain songs that they would fly to, and a lot of times we're just flying to whatever the DJ's got on the PA. Sometimes we bring our own stuff, like for what they call ballet, which would be you would a pairs ballet, single ballet. You would fly with another person, like a team style, but pairs, and you would have a certain song that you would flew to that you practice to, like anything else, like figure skating, like any kind of dance performance. I mean, it's the same thing just with kites. And it's really impressive to watch people who are really, really good at their craft and just you can tell that they've been flying together for a long time, practicing for a long time. It's impressive to watch somebody who's really, really good at what they're doing. And it's relaxing too. It's just one of those things. It's you're out there, it's a nice summer day, wind's blowing, people are laughing, having a good time. It's relaxing. It's relaxing. Yeah, so the power kites. And there was another one. I had a dual line again. I had my 7 foot, 6, 7 foot wingspan, whatever it was. There was a kite called Thor's Hammer back in the day. It's about $600 for, or was that 1,200? Yeah, I'm not sure. It was expensive, more than I was willing to spend for a kite at that time. At that time, it was guy's name was Dave. This one I don't remember his last name. I want to say he was from Wisconsin Kite Club. And they jokingly called him Mr. Incredible because he looked like Mr. Incredible, real stocky, built guy, and he had to be because the Thor's hammer that he would fly, he would get out there and do demos with this kite, and this thing, it was a dual line stunt kite, didn't really trick well because it was so big. I want to say it was like a 12 or 13 foot wingspan. This thing was big, and man, watching him fly this I'd have to look at it. There's gotta be some YouTube videos of him flying this thing because he would just it was a workout, man. He would struggle and fight to get this thing, and he's, like, getting pulled around, and that's the thing with these power kites is they will pull you. There are kite buggies that they fly. It's an actual, like, a three-wheeled dune buggy looking thing, and they would fly the power kite. The kite boarders do it. They surf the waves on the coast, like especially the West Coast. They'll get out there and they fly with this power kite, and it's got enough force to lift you off the ground. I was fortunate enough to get to play with one. Friend of mine at the time in the club. Uh, he had a power kite, and we got to get out there and try some of these because even the quad line Revolution had a couple different power kites, but these things they were a lot of fun because you get it right and you catch the wind and you can get it to lift you up off the ground and you take just like a big leap, and hopefully land on your feet. If you let it get away from you a little bit, it'll drag you. It'll definitely drag you. Those ones have an attachment called the kite killer, the power kites, because if they do get away from you, they will lift you off the ground. They could lift you off the ground, 20, 30 feet before you realize what's going on. So the kite killer is essentially you let go of the handles and it's just another line that connects to a waist harness that connects to the foil. So when you let go of the handles, the foil just collapses and it falls out of the sky. So if you get in trouble, just let go and it'll collapse it and you'll be all right. Because there was a guy, he was into the buggies and the power foils and that. And I don't remember exactly what happened. I wasn't there. It was at a different event. I guess he got pretty banged up flying these. I mean, like hospitalized type thing. He got beat up pretty good. So it's definitely something that you really need to respect. Like a lot of sports, a lot of hobbies. There's a lot of stuff out there, but they're fun. They're fun. And this kind of leads me into the what we would say was my side hobby. I think that came into it. It was so I did a lot of this too at the events where we would have no wind where things just kind of sucked and we were just no kites were up, so I would break out the juggling stuff. This is where the juggling thing kind of came in. I had learned years ago how to juggle. I found a book. It was probably at Borders, one of those silly bookstores. I don't know, might have been, oh, who else had the KB Toys. They were all over the place at the time. It was a book called Juggling for the Complete Klutz. And it's literally a book. There's a whole Klutz series of books at I don't even know if they're a thing anymore, to be honest with you. Probably are, because it's such a simple concept. Uh it was a book that came with 3 juggling bags, just bean bags, and it taught you how to juggle, and that's how I learned how to juggle. I learned how to juggle from a book, and it's just kinda one of them silly little skills that I've had for years that just kinda stuck with me, and it was one of those things that I I don't know how I stumbled across it. There is a juggling club in my area called, again, Up for Grabs Juggling Club. It was at the local, Park District Community Center, and they would meet, like, I don't know if it was once a month or once a week. I really don't remember how often we used to go there, but it was a event they had, a public like a demo type thing. So I wanna say to me and the wife, and I don't remember, I'm pretty sure we probably brought our daughter because they did demos. So they had guys out there juggling, all kinds of cool stuff, rings, pins, balls, bouncing the balls off the floor and all that. And they had a raffle. And what I did, like any raffle, I bought a bunch of tickets and I won a whole bunch of stuff actually. I like a ridiculous amount of stuff. I think I got a bag with I won like 2 sets of juggling pins. I won, I don't know, some more juggling balls, some scarves. I think I got the devil sticks, or I may have purchased those. I'm not again, I've and I still got this stuff. I can still juggle. And I did learn how to juggle the pins. I can't do any more than 3, and then, like, with the bags, the bean bags, I can do 4. I've done a couple passes with 5, and at one point, I did learn through the juggling club how to juggle with a partner with the pins, which was kinda cool. It was neat. I sucked at it, but I was able to get a couple passes down, And but there were again individuals in this club that were just, I mean, oh my, they'd have like 7 bags up in the air and doing spins and like super talented. I mean, really, really good. But that was kind of what happened there, and that was one of those things. So I would bring these my little backpack with the rings, balls, and and part of it, which didn't help my addiction with these hobbies, was we would go up to Minnesota, like once a year, because we had I have a good friend up there, and my wife has family up there, and we would go to this place at the Mall of America, which is still open, still open. I did the research, called Air Traffic. This is one of those just crazy toy stores that have all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, they have a whole wall of juggling stuff. They've got rings, pins. They have the fire pins. I don't even know what they call them, the fire sticks. And just on their website the other day, I'm looking, I'm like, I would like to learn. I would try juggling fire because why not? It looks cool. I probably regret it, but it would be fun. And but this is a cool place. They've got, it's like any kind of toy store. They've got puzzles and like lots of toys, obviously, but it's a lot of stuff like frisbees. They have a whole wall full of disc golf discs. I mean, like dozens of them, the whole wall full. But I want to say, I don't know if I won the rings at the raffle or if I bought rings there at one of those places. And so harmonicas, and which that's a whole nother thing, not a big thing. It's yeah, I bought a harmonica several times over the year, and I still can't really play it, but I have it. I can play a couple things on it, but that's a story for another day. Oh, and yo-yos. Can't forget about yo-yos. I've had a couple yo-yos because again, my toxic trait is thinking that, hey, I can learn how to do that stuff. I could, but I just it became, as I got older, as I get older with certain things, it's just like either I really get into it or it just gets to a level where I'm, this is too hard. I'm just, it goes into a drawer and forgotten about. Um, but yeah, that was air traffic. If you're into this stuff and you're ever at the Mall of America, check them out. It's well worth the trip if you're up in that neck of the woods. All right. And so back to the kite portion of this, because this is the part that I probably skipped over a little bit. There was a time where I also, while I was in the kite scene, I got into building kites, and not so much like making new kites, is actually taking styles that are already in place. So there's a style of kite, a Japanese kite called rakaku, rokaku, rakaku. Don't beat me up on the pronunciation, but it's the name essentially translates into six corners or hexagon. It's a single line. It's a very simple bridle, like a traditional single line kite, but it's a huge surface because the one I have is, I want to say it's about 5 or 6 feet tall. And the first one I made, it was just kind of random patterns. I just sewed on just different shapes and colors, nothing fancy. But the second one that I made was I took a image of Brian the dog from Family Guy, of him peeing. So his back's turned, he's looking over his shoulder, and it says, "Do you mind?" on the bottom. So that was my introduction to, I want to say it's called applique, where you do different layers, you sew them together, then you got to cut out and reveal the colors underneath. I still have that one because I won't get rid of that one. That was just that's kind of my pride and joy. The first one I gave away to my wife's cousin's son as because he really liked it, so I gave him that as a gift when we were up there, showing off the kites on one of our trips. But this had started when I had attended a retreat. They used to have a retreat called Maker. It's now I believe it's called You Make. It's still there, still around from what I've seen, but it's called Maker Midwest Area Kite Makers Retreat. And this is where like people in this niche uh, area of kite building would actually have classes. They teach you how to make kites. They had no sew classes for those who didn't want to learn how to sew, had no experience, and just using double sided tapes and just making very simple assemblies. Because there are like really cool styles of kites to make. I had helped my friend. He went to local school here in Naperville to for National Kite Month to build kites for the kids. It's just a simple sled made out of Tyvek house wrap, a couple strings, tape it on there, and they fly. And just, the kids got a kick out of it. But back to Maker. So we went up there for it was I want to say it was a 2 day event where you'd pay, I don't know, I think now it's like $300 for the night for room and board. It was, I don't know, if I think we had 4 to a room. But it's they have other retreats there. It's a beautiful place up in oh dear. It was out west Utica, I think it was, right on the Fox River. Beautiful place though. You can bald eagles flying around there and just out in like in the middle of the forest preserve. Really, really nice place. Just get away from everything. And yeah, so I brought my sewing machine because I had purchased a sewing machine. I mean, I'm on I think my second or third machine now. I still have my newest one. I think this one was the one I bought for for kite making, I believe. But I bought a travel case for it and the whole deal, so I brought my sewing machine up there and learned how to make some kites. I don't remember what we made. I don't even know if I might still have it. I've got some bunch of stuff in the closet that I've made that I've bought, and I won't get rid of them. I haven't been out for about 3 years now, maybe 4 years. It's been a few years since I've had a kite out of the house, but I definitely going through this and putting this all together. I really want to get out and do it again because I really enjoy it. You put the earbuds in, put some music on, and just kind of zone out and just relax and just forget about everything. Um, we get into I made an airfoil, a small. It's I don't know. It's like 2 foot wide, 3 foot long. Got plans online and made sewed it together. A real simple airfoil. It's if I made it bigger, it'd be a big lifter to lift the kites up because I don't know if I got into too much detail on that one, but that was a again the lifters. There's some big stuff. Again, my friend Chris Babb, he uh he had gotten one on loan. Big lifter. I forgot how many square feet this thing was, but we used to. He would take it out a couple times. I wish I could remember the name of that one. But that's where you put on the big inflatables, and then a lot of guys, myself included, because I've got a power sled, and it's I don't know, it's like maybe 50 square feet, whatever it was. It's if that I don't remember, but it's got a lot of pull. So you put it up on a 200-pound line, and then you put on your line laundry, which is banners, wind socks. I had a snowman that used to be an inflatable lawn ornament for Christmas that I just kept the snowman after the blower crapped out, and I vented his head, his hat, and I, like, hung him off of the line, so I had an inflatable snowman that would hang off the line. But that's how they would hang the big stuff then. They would just, hang it up literally just hang it off the line, and it's, like I said, called line laundry. But yeah, so wrapping up, it's, we're what, about 45-ish minutes into this. I like to keep them roughly at 45 minutes. It was a good time. It really was. I miss a little bit. Hey, I miss it. It was something that I needed at that time. You know, it's like I have, I don't want to call them eras, but there's, yeah, I guess it would be. I mean, this was, again, meeting people who are just as obsessed, and again, more so than I am, which is kind of why, again, I know I've talked about this before, why I created this podcast, because I want to invite you, the listener, with your stories and your experiences. I really want to invite you on, uh, either in person, which I really have to tweak my setup for that, but we can do online through the software that I use. I use Riverside FM, and I am able to have guests on from home. So if you've got a laptop with a microphone, it's essentially like a Zoom call, just better quality. And it doesn't have to be anything in particular, but I know a lot of, like, the big podcasts, they have, like, big people on, which is cool, but I wanna hear those stories from the little guy, from me, from you, from normal, everyday people who have everyday lives, who just do interesting things that you wouldn't think. I know a lot of people that know me, people who are close to me know a lot of the stuff that I've been into over the years. But then there's those, especially some folks I work with, that have no idea about some of this, because I've always been a little personal, and play things close to the vest, and that's not that's a flaw of mine. I've always been like that. I have a very narrow group of friends, and even some of those friends I've not been very good at reaching out to, and taking time to stay caught up with their life events, um, outside of Facebook and social media, and that's not really the way it should be. Yeah, that's kind of, really about all I have for this one, this episode 2. And in my script here, I've got, yeah, the closing thoughts. Some hobbies aren't just hobbies, they're chapters. Yeah, and some of them are. This was a chapter, I wanna say. Again, the next episode, we're probably gonna touch on RC planes. That was another chapter. That one kind of fell into the whole motorcycle chapter of my life. Because this one is, again, with the individual, with the guy that I became friends with, coworker of my wife's, that we both became friends with. He was another one who was a deep dive into hobbies. We kind of really got each other deep into the RC planes, and that'll be, I think that will be episode 3. Will be the RC planes. That's a good one. That's a good one, and it tracks right along with my addiction to, being a serial hobbyist. And, that I think we'll wrap it up. Let's not drag this out any longer than it needs to be. I try to keep this as much on track as I can, and, by putting a loose script and timeline together. I'm hopefully able to do that somewhat. And that's about it. Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Serial Hobbyist. Until next time, enjoy the journey. Thanks.